We are about 4 weeks away from the NFL draft, and many hopeful young men are gearing up for what could be a life-changing weekend. Hello and welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Kelly Warner here with Evan Lasek and Tim Rogers for the second edition of our annual NFL mock drafts. Some big news broke Monday in the form of Sam Darnold heading to Charlotte in exchange for a 6th-round pick and 2nd and 4th-round picks in 2022. Evan, start us off. With that in mind, what are some of your favorite fits according to your mock draft?
Well, Kelly, with that news being broken, we all know Trevor Lawrence. He's the undisputed #1 overall pick in this draft. Every mock draft has it. Everybody knows it. This has been what's going to happen since the beginning of last season for college football and for NFL. It was tank for Trevor. They finally did it. Congratulations, Jaguars. Now, with Sam Darnold being traded, Zach Wilson is now undisputed the #2 pick going there. After their pro day, he really just solidified himself as the second best quarterback in this draft. Kind of came out of nowhere this past season and really just showed out. Here I have Justin Fields going 3. Now, Trey Lance could be made an exception there, but after Fields' pro day, after the season he had, everybody kind of just fell in love with him. Heck, the 49ers skipped Mac Jones' pro day just to go watch Justin Fields. They sent another scout there, so I think that's really interesting to watch over there. Now, 4 or 5, that's a little bit more confusing. Penn Sewell, this is a no-trade mock draft right now, so I think the Falcons are going to protect Matty Ice. I think he has a little bit left in the tank, and I don't think they're ready to move on just yet. So Sewell goes forward there, and I think that really helps them with their offense. Now, with Sewell being there, there's no need to overdraft a lineman at 5. Jamar Chase is one of probably the best players in this draft, if not for Trevor Lawrence. So Jamar Chase going there, working with Joe Burrow. Yes, it's scary not protecting him with the 5th pick, but you don't really, as I said, you don't want to overdraft a lineman and do that. 6, Devontae Smith, the Heisman winner, goes to the Dolphins, works with Tua again, and I think that'll be a good connection there. I think that'll get them a little more chemistry and let them take another step forward with this offense. Kyle Pitts, I think he's another one of those players where it's one of those talents you can't really pass up on. Playing wide receiver, playing tight end, he can go anywhere, and it will be an instant dynamic. So going to Detroit where they're trying to start a new offense, getting rid of all their old guys, I think Kyle Pitts is a great centerpiece there to work alongside TJ Hawkinson and be a #1 guy. At 8, Micah Parsons. This was tricky because Carolina, as we just said, they now have Sam Darnold. I originally had Trey Lance going there. But Micah Parsons, I think he's a fantastic linebacker, probably one of the best in the draft. So solidifying that Carolina defense, I think that's going to be great. They lost Luke Kuechly. This guy finally going to help them there. Trey Lance now goes to 9 to the Broncos. I think that's a great fit there. Drew Lock, not really the answer. We could kind of see that the whole time. So getting a quarterback from North Dakota, go to play Colorado, I think that's really going to be beautiful there. Patrick Surtain for Alabama, I think that is another beautiful fit. Lost Byron Jones. Their defense really struggled. I think his pass coverage is beautiful. Kwity Paye sat out last season. Great edge prospect out of Michigan. I think that really helps. Giants, they said earlier in the week, they have receivers. They got Adoree Jackson. They are now in position to take a real draft need, and for them, that is still an edge rusher. At 12, Jalen Waddle, I think they traded back for a reason. They knew they couldn't get Chase. So if it works out, good for them. That makes Howie Roseman look like a genius. They still get a receiver. They got the future in draft picks. So I think Waddle will be really good alongside Jalen Hurts there in Philadelphia. Rashawn Slater going to protect Justin Herbert. I think that will really make that offense take another leap forward, hopefully protect their franchise quarterback and keep them in contention. Now, Caleb Farley, yes, he came off a big injury. I know you were having problems with that before, but he's still one of the better corners in the draft despite the injury. So I think the Vikings need to rebuild their defense, and I think he's a good spot to start on. Mac Jones, he's the quarterback. He's not nothing flashy like the first 3 guys we have taken, but he's Mac Jones. It's Bill Belichick. He can make really any quarterback work. They have Cam Newton there as a backfall, so we'll see what they do during draft time. Now, Elijah Vera Tucker, offensive tackle, really protect Kyler Murray. You saw him scrambling for his life back there all season. So I don't think that was really the best thing for him to do, especially at a young age like this. And with the dynamic offense they have, you need to give him time to throw. I think Tucker really gives them that power to protect him. Now over there at 17, another offensive tackle protecting Derek Carr. If that's who they choose to stick with at quarterback, you never know. But another offensive tackle, they're kind of difficult to really sort through this year despite last year. Now, Azeez Ojulari, great edge rusher, great linebacker, for the Miami Dolphins, really just preparing their team. You saw them almost make the playoff run last year, getting them more pieces to really fit well. I think that's a huge piece in competing with the Bills and maybe the Patriots. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, linebacker out of Notre Dame. that defense will just be terrifying. They were last year. You just keep adding to that, and everything else will fall in place. Most teams rely on defense, and I can see them doing the same thing. Rondale Moore out of Purdue for the Chicago Bears at 20. I think that's a lock there. They need a receiver. He's going to be the best receiver remaining, in my opinion. Gregory Rousseau out of Miami going to 21. I think that's another edge prospect that you really look out for. There weren't a lot of edge rushers that really stuck out this season, so I think that him going there will be a fantastic fit. Now at 22, the Titans taking J.C. Horn. A lot of people had him going to possibly the Eagles at 12, so he could fall down. They just lost Malcolm Butler. They didn't have Logan Ryan for the last season. Now they lost Adoree Jackson. It's time to rebuild their starting corners, and I think J.C. Horn out of South Carolina, big guy. I think he will be a great coverage corner. Najee Harris is the first running back off the board. Him going to the Jets, pairing with Zach Wilson. I know it's a little bit iffy, not a lot has been said, but if he's there, their running back room is not that good. So Najee Harris is an instant upgrade. With the Steelers at 24, I had either Jason Oweh going there to replace Bud Dupree or Travis Etienne. They're kind of enamored with him, his speed. Their running game kind of struggled last year, so I think Etienne with his breakaway speed and how he played at Clemson really just translates to what the Steelers need in the offense this year. Alex Leatherwood going back there to protect Trevor Lawrence, really a key thing. You don't want to risk your quarterback getting hurt, kind of like what we saw last year with the number 1 overall pick. Kind of want to protect him, and I think they'll do that. Jalen Phillips, edge rusher out of Miami. Put him next to Myles Garrett, and you have a terrifying duo. And I don't want to play the Browns next year if I'm anybody, and I'm seeing those two guys coming after me. Kadarius Toney out of Florida. I think him and Kyle Trask, I think he made Kyle Trask what he was. Maybe a hot take, may not be. But Kadarius Toney, I think, is a really good receiver, and Baltimore will finally lock up a receiver. They've struggled. They've had Marquise Brown for 2 years, but again, this is, I think, the receiver they've kind of been looking for. Jason Oweh finally gets off the board at 28. I think that's a resurgence on the New Orleans Saints defensive line. I think his speed will really translate well there. Rashad Bateman, finally giving Aaron Rodgers a receiver to work with. I think that'll be lovely for him. He's been complaining about all the season, but he just won MVP with Devontae Adams and scrub receivers. Not any bashing towards them. They're fantastic, but still, compared to what he's been working with, they're finally giving him another receiver to throw to, and I think that'll make his game go even higher. Javonte Williams, he kind of came out of nowhere after his pro day. He had a great 19-touchdown season, 1,200 yards rushing. I think he replaces Singletary and Moss in Buffalo and becomes a true number 1 back. That's kind of what they need, and they don't want to miss out on another running back. Jalen Mayfield protecting, we just saw Pat Mahomes lose all of his offensive linemen. So getting him really secures him. And then finally, Tyson Campbell, cornerback out of Georgia. They got 22 starters returning. May as well just fill a need somewhere. So I think that'll be the best bet there.
A lot of interesting picks. I think the Chiefs definitely O-line is their number 1 thing they need, and I'd love to see Jason Oweh in New Orleans. So Tim, where do you have some of the top prospects landing on your mock draft?
So before I begin, I would like to give a shout out to my boy, Sam Darnold. Rest in peace. May he rest his soul. He did great for New York, but I know he's going to do great in Carolina. I'm going to lay him down, give him a nice little RIP. Now, obviously, the first overall pick, no question, Trevor Lawrence. And again, the second overall pick, I don't think that's a question mark either now with Zach Wilson. This is the one that I'm getting a lot for right now. I have Trey Lance going for San Francisco. He's a system quarterback. He's going to fit perfectly in that Kyle Shanahan offense, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do take him, especially with Jimmy G coming off injuries like crazy. So we shall see. I think Justin Fields stays as a Georgia boy and goes to Atlanta. I don't think Matt Ryan has that much left in him, so I think might as well get the replacement now. I think Penny Sewell is a great option for Cincinnati. As we saw, Joe Burrow had a terrible injury and was running around like crazy last year, getting hit all the time. So I think if they lock that up, that's huge. I think Jamar Chase is the best receiver, without a question, in this draft. I think if you put him there with Tua, as well as Will Fuller being there now, I think that could really help out that Miami offense. Now this one is a little surprising. I got Jalen Waddle. He was easily the best Alabama receiver last year before he got hurt. Maybe a hot take, but his speed is ridiculous. And if you put that with Jared Goff coming in, that could be really helpful for them. I have Kyle Pitts dropping all the way to 8. Now I know Kyle Pitts, he is probably the greatest athlete in this draft right now. His athleticism is ridiculous. He can run like a receiver. He's got the size of a tight end. I believe he's 6'6". If Carolina is able to get this, now with Robbie Anderson, now with Sam Darnold, with Christian McCaffrey, that team could really contend in that division. I got Michael Parsons next. I don't think there's any question that Denver's going to take the best player on the board at this point, and I think that's Parsons. We've seen his athleticism here. Now, between J.C. Horn and Patrick Surtain, I think whatever one Dallas takes, the other one goes to Arizona. I just think J.C. Horn gets the edge here. I think his size is amazing, and like you said, Byron Jones, he's gone. So they need to really replace that. I have Rashawn Slater going next as the offensive line. This is it for Daniel Jones. They got him Kenny Golladay. Saquon's coming back healthy. So might as well give him as much protection as he can. And if he can't succeed, then maybe start looking for a new quarterback, in my opinion. I got the Heisman winner going here at number 12 to Philly. Philly needs a receiver. They need one bad. Let's be honest, Jalen Reagor, tough season to say the least. We shall see. I have Christian Darrisaw going here to the Chargers. Again, kind of same thing with Joe Burrow. Got to protect your franchise guy. Justin Herbert showed that he can be a franchise guy. And they were a very good team. They lost games by 3-4 points almost every time that they lost. So if they can get Herbert some more protection, let him sit back in the pocket, relax, throw the ball, I think they'll have a pretty solid season. I think Kwity Paye goes next to Minnesota. They lost Yannick Ngakoue. They need somebody to bring that presence on the defensive front. Might as well be Kwity Paye. Mac Jones here going to New England, and I'm going to be honest, I think I speak for everybody. Nobody wants to see another New England Patriots dynasty. Nobody. So please, Mac Jones, do not be as good as we hope you are. For Patrick Surtain next, like I said, with J.C. Horn, I think the Cardinals need a cornerback. I think they need to restructure that defense a bit, so I think Patrick Surtain's a perfect fit for them, corner from Alabama. I have Owusu Koramoah going next. They still are trying to find that replacement for Khalil Mack. That was a big loss, and it's been showing. I got Gregory Rousseau here of edge, staying in Miami. I really like this man. I think his prospect, his speed, is ridiculous. And that Miami defense was scary last year with Brian Flores really just showing that defensive structure. If they could keep that up, bring in another speedy guy, that defense could really push them over the top to the playoffs. I have Rashad Bateman next. His skill is ridiculous. He has some of the best hands in the draft. And if Fitzmagic is going to hopefully have some magic left in the tank and bring Washington to the playoffs, I would like to see them get a receiver for him. Elijah Vera Tucker going to Chicago. Might as well build up that O-line. I don't think Andy Dalton's the guy for the future, but maybe they'll take Kyle Trask in the later rounds. We shall see. We know Indy loves their Notre Dame offensive lineman. Why not add another one? Give Carson Wentz some great protection, in my opinion. Give him the weapons that he needs. Let him sit back in the pocket. He was hit like crazy last year in Philly. If he gets this protection, I think he's going to look great. Now here's Caleb Farley, guy coming off a pretty rough surgery last year. I do agree he was the best cornerback prospect. Keyword is was. So that's why I have him dropping. I have Aziz going to the Jets here. The Jets need a linebacker. C.J. Mosley is a question mark. He opted out last year. Will he come back? And we saw last year that the Jets' defense was not that good under Greg Williams. We'll see what they can do under Robert Saleh's new defense. I got Najee Harris as the first running back on the board. Pittsburgh desperately needs a running game. James Conner was not that good last year. And if they can get that running game going, hopefully take a little bit of the pressure off Big Ben, I think that could be very crucial for them to hopefully get back to the playoffs. You also had Alex Leatherwood. It's the same reason. Trevor Lawrence, he needs protection. You can't get your rookie quarterback hurt and all of a sudden your season's over like that. I really like Jalen Phillips. He's really interesting to me. I really love his prospect. I really love his speed. And again, kind of like you said, with Myles Garrett, that's going to be really interesting to see that two-headed monster go at any quarterback. I have Zaven Collins going next. We've seen Baltimore produce some ridiculous linebackers. Why not add to that with a great one in Zaven Collins? I got Jason Owe going here to New Orleans, just like you did. Same reason. That Saints defense, as we saw, could not get pressure on Tom Brady in the playoffs. And that was a huge reason why they lost. Yes, Drew Brees did not have the best game. But their defense just sat back, really didn't press. Tom Brady, he's the type of quarterback. You get in his face, is he the GOAT? That's the question. Rondale Moore going to Green Bay. They need a receiver. Aaron Rodgers had a ridiculous season. I don't see why he will fall off. And then Devontae Adams, I'm going to go and say he's the best receiver in the NFL right now. His route running is ridiculous. If you put Rondale Moore, a guy who's only 5'7", but has the size of DK Metcalf, it's ridiculous. If you can put him there with Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay, that's a Super Bowl team in my opinion. Travis Etienne to Buffalo, they need a running game. Devin Singletary and Zach Moss are great if they're your number 2 running back. They're not a number 1. Travis Etienne could easily be a number 1. Jalen Mayfield has to go to Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes on Super Bowl Sunday was running around like a headless chicken. It was ridiculous. They need to get him some protection, and why not Jalen Mayfield? And again, for Tampa, I mean, they could take whoever and they would still be a great team. I have Christian Barmore here. Why not build up that defensive line? You know, Ndamukong Suh, JPP, why not?
You both have Mac Jones going to New England. I'd be very eager to see what Belichick would do with him there. We will just have to wait and see what happens on April 29th. Stick with Penn State Sports Night for the rest of our mock drafts and our other NFL content leading up to the draft. For Evan Lasek and Tim Rogers, I'm Kelly Warner. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching this edition of Penn State Sports Night. If you're a fan of our content, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more clips. Also, follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with all the action. For all my colleagues, we are Penn State Sports Night.